Customer service people on Reddit. What's the dumbest thing a customer has gone out of their way to complain about? I had one lady call the store to complain that her pizza was cold and she wanted a new one. Now her house was maybe a half-mile from the store and I took her pizza first on my run and it was the last one out. So when I delivered it, it was maybe 5 minutes out of the oven and probably still the temperature of molten lava. The manager tells me to take her a new one, but to get the old one, which of course she doesn't have because, well, she ate it. I can't give you this one unless you give me the other one. We threw it out. It's in the trash. Show me. I'm not letting you look in our trash. Then I'm not giving you this pizza. I'm calling your manager. Go ahead, but I have other pizzas to deliver. I left and did my thing. Manager tells me that she's getting a refund and tells me to take it back to her, so I do. After delivering my other pizzas to actual customers, I also tell her she's on the banned customer list. She called the store and complained again because I didn't refund her $2 tip. Manager tells me to give her back the $2, even offers to just give me $2 to make this lady go away. I go to the cash register and buy 4 rolls of pennies and unwrap them. When I pull up to her house, she comes out on the front porch and has one hand on her hip and the other one out for me to hand her $2. She was not expecting change and definitely not 200 pennies dumped onto her hand. Of course, her hand was too small to hold that much change anyway, and they immediately fell to the ground and went everywhere. I just got in my car and went back to work and told my manager what I'd done. He wanted to be mad at me because he thought he was supposed to be mad, but he just started laughing. It had put her on the banned customer list. Also, another thing, so many people would complain that their pizza was too hot to eat. Of course it is. It just came out of the oven. This is why you choose to drive your way here to eat instead of having it delivered, because it's fresh. Fresh pizza is hot. I'm shaking my head. What's the next complaint? My milkshake has too much milk then, Shake? Story 2. I was working at Office Max during back-to-school season. This woman comes up to my register with a few things and I start scanning it. She notices the one item rang up less than she was expecting. She actually got an attitude with me because we hadn't had a chance to print new shelf tags for that aisle yet. I told her I would wait if she wanted to get more. She declined and continued complaining to me about it. I said, well, I can override the price to what the shelf label said. I realized now that I was being a bit of a by saying that. She politely declined that as well, paid with her card, and rushed out the door with her things. I had another customer come in with a table with bent legs and a big hole in the top that looked like someone got drunk and jumped on it, destroying it. Coincidentally, he appeared to be buzzed and reeked of alcohol. The store I work in has a 30-day returns policy on anything that isn't electrical, and this was brought in 5 months after the date in the receipt. We also never sold that table in our store, and the other stores took it off sale months before, i.e. the table was not the one on the receipt. I denied the return and he demanded I ask my supervisor or manager. I called my supervisor to the private line and he said he'd bring my till out immediately, my first transaction, and hung up. He came out with it and ignored me when I tried asking him to take a look. I called him to the private line and the store manager picked up. I explained the situation and she just snapped that I don't know how to do returns. Just do it and quit complaining and hung up. I took the return, as I was told. When I arrived from my next shift, my till manager pulls me in the office, demanding to know the situation with the store manager sitting in the background. I explained everything that happened and the store manager kept interrupting me with excuses and tried to shift the blame onto me. I ended it by telling the till manager I've tried telling her why, but as she can see, I'm unable to talk. Much like when it came to the table, and if the both of them still want to blame me, they'll be replacing me, and we were already short-staffed. The supervisor was given crap for it, and he quit less than a month later. The store manager has been promoted. Story 3. Throughout school, I worked at a university competition pool. More lane swimming, less kids and floating toys, though there's a bit of that on weekends. We had one individual, we'll call Bill, who would typically make requests or complaints but would do them in such extraordinary manners that it would be impossible to take them seriously. It was a freshwater pool that's chemically treated. The chemicals are too harsh for his skin, so he demanded we change over to a saltwater pool in the next 2 weeks. Not thinking he was serious, as that sort of change would be monstrous and probably easier to just build a new pool, we didn't report the request to change to saltwater. 2 weeks later, he enters the pool and says, "Why is this fresh water? This should be salt." It didn't matter that even if we had the millions of dollars to replace the pipes, filtration system, and tiles, it wouldn't happen in a 2-week time period. He lost it, left the pool, complained to the front desk, and advised me to start looking for a new job because management knew about my blunder of not reporting the initial complaint. Manager told me they laughed at him when he left, but this was the start of a downward relationship. The pool would typically play the easy listening radio station sponsor. Some guards or staff would put on other things on weekends, but it was never anything loud or obnoxious, and it was kept at a reasonable level. Regardless of the volume, there was always a, "Music is too loud, turn off the noise pollution." Sure, we'll turn it down. Nope, it has to be off. It would come to the point he'd watch for the office to be empty and sneak in to turn it off himself. He wrote an essay of a complaint where he compared the sounds of local easy listening FM to World War II POW sound torture. I'll always remember when he called the Beatles heavy metal popular rock band. Once he showed up when synchronized swimming was training. They have their own boombox and underwater speaker. Bill screamed at the children training, their instructor, the guards, the front desk, and wrote several long-winded complaints to all levels of management and even to the dean of the university. He talked to me for longer than comfortable that those speakers should be considered illegal weapons and that synchronized swimming speakers are nothing short of war crimes. He drafted a lawsuit saying the pool psychologically damaged him. The lawsuit didn't amount to much. It's my understanding he didn't hire a lawyer and just did it himself and was thrown out before it made to any judge. However, after the management took him aside and basically said, "If you're nice, we'll help you, but you can't scream at patrons, especially kids." They threatened to end his membership unless he smartened up, but soon enough he was back in force. I won't go into specific details of all the wacky things he did, but the highlights are, he pushed around kids, yelled at the varsity swim team for swimming in his lane, even faked a seizure in the water. Lifelong patrons hated him, management hated him, frontline staff hated him. He was a miserable man, but he was the one who couldn't handle it anymore. Before his membership was revoked, he went to a different pool because of our poor customer service. Story 4. Whopper Wednesdays. Some Burger Kings have a promotion called Whopper Wednesday in which you can get a Whopper for free. The app advertises this every week, but it's a Whopper for $1. Really good deal given that they're $5 sandwiches. One Wednesday, I'm the front cashier and a customer comes in asking for the Whopper Wednesday. I tell him we don't do that promotion. He states that his app told him he could get a Whopper for $1. I ask him for the code. He demands that I just give him the deal and that he shouldn't need a code. Now, sometimes I have certain codes memorized. 8711 is $3 nuggets and fries, 8610 is a $3 double cheeseburger meal, 9410 is a 2 bacon cheeseburger meal, etc. However, the promotion on the app was relatively new and only once a week, so none of us had the code memorized and we had no way of accessing it in the system unless we literally try all 4-digit combos until we find it. I try to explain to the customer that I have no way of accessing the code on my end, I need it from the app. The customer angrily pulls out his phone and for some reason the app just straight wasn't working, just his luck. And of course, just my luck too, because obviously it was my fault. He continues to argue with me for 10 minutes. My manager sees it happening and knows that I'm pretty good at handling disputes on my own, so they only step in if the customer demands the manager. However, I've learned that if you handle the situation yourself, hold your ground, work with them to solve the conflict, and carry yourself a certain way, then the customers often won't ask. Finally, the customer slams his phone down and recedes, asking for those 2 Whopper meals. I carry on, take his order. He seems clearly increasingly pissed with each question I ask him. I don't care. I just want to get him his order, get it right, and get him out. I then tell him his total. Almost $20. He flips his shit again. I wanted the 2 for $10. 2 small Whopper meals for $10. I take a deep breath before explaining to him that the 2 for $10 was a promotion which just ended a few weeks ago and is no longer in the system. I literally couldn't ring it up. He spends another 10 minutes screaming at me. Literally the only time I've actually been full-on cussed out in all of my time at BK. He storms out, calling me every name in the book, hit his head in the door on the way out. After that, I downloaded the BK app myself so we could look up all the coupon codes that we didn't have in the system to avoid this whole encounter. Screw that guy. Sweet, sweet justice. Wonder if his face left a mark in the glass door. That would be epic. Oily face mark of shame. Story 5. When I worked in small business IT consulting, I had a colleague heal a dead PC. The customer reported a completely dead computer. When we arrived, my coworker immediately went into a revival preacher routine, which culminated with him dramatically placing his right hand on the screen while loudly commanding the PC to heal, and plugging the monitor's power cord back into the back of the monitor with his left hand. The screen came on, he asked if there was anything else, and when the bewildered customer didn't say anything, he thanked them and we left. Another time was this chick that brought in her computer slammed with viruses, spyware, etc., so bad it wouldn't boot. Got it all fixed up and she picked it up. Brought it back the very next day with the same thing. I asked what site she visited since she picked it up and she, completely unashamed, said, "Oh, my BF and I are on Karn all the time." Okay. I told her I would go ahead and clean it again for free, but if she visited those sites, I couldn't do it again without charging. Picked it up the same day. Comes back the next day. Me. "Did you get back on the site?" Her. "Of course." I could not make her understand why this kept happening and would continue happening, so I just asked her to go somewhere else. Which reminds me, I also cleaned up my brother-in-law's computer that was full of viruses and Explorer bars and about 100 bogus programs in the startup menu. Took it back to him and set it up. He sat down at his desk, typed "free games online," clicked the first link, selected some Candy Crush knockoff and began clicking yes in every window that popped up while the game was installing without even bothering to read what it said. This all took less than 30 seconds. I was standing behind him going, wait, but he ignored me. About 2 months later, he bought a new computer because he said his old one was too old and too slow for modern applications. I think it was maybe 18 months old. The story has a happy ending, for me at least. He was going to throw his old computer in the trash. I offered to take it to use for parts. I cleaned it up again and gave it to my son. He used it for years. Well, if someone downloads Candy Crush on the PC, they don't deserve that PC. Instead of clicking free games online, why don't you just click the like button and subscribe to my channel? Story 6. I work in a grocery store. Just a couple days ago, I rang through a guy with a very small order of groceries. bread, eggs, etc. His total came to just over $10, and when I asked him how he was paying, he gave me a $20 store coupon. Noticing he was a little short, I politely told him we weren't able to use it in an order that was less than $20. It's not an interchangeable amount and I can't substitute the remainder of the coupon out in cash, but informed him that I could suspend the order if he wanted to get a couple more things so I could take the 20 off. He got visibly and loudly irate with me, repeatedly telling me to just do it, turning to the other customers in line and calling me stupid, saying he couldn't believe what he was hearing. He even told me to keep it and roughly snatched it away again when I tried to explain that he could keep it for the next time if he doesn't want to go back now. It just needs his subtotal to be at $20. Like, dude, I'm trying to tell you can get more stuff and pay less if you just get a few more items. I'm helping you, saving you money, and you're yelling at me for it? Why? Also once had a lady yell at me because she somehow couldn't wrap her head around the fact that an item was on sale that previous day, but the sale had ended when she tried to buy it again the next day. Like, lady, it wouldn't be a sale if it was that price 24/7. That doesn't even make sense. I don't get it. This is f***ing ridiculous. I'm never shopping here again. Awesome. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Another time a woman asked for very light bags. I put one item in the bag and put it in her cart, and she lifted it and said, "Oh no, this is way too heavy. You have to take some stuff out." Let me say I was happy I was wearing a mask because I wouldn't have been able to keep a straight face to tell her there was a single item in there. Story 7. I worked at a bank a few years back as a call taker. I had someone come through and had previously entered in wrong identification number that the bank uses to make it easier to bring up a person's information. This is fine. I deal with this 1 out of 10 times. So I asked the lady if she could please provide her name or identification number. She immediately goes off tap and says, "You should have all my information in front of you." I just replied politely, "Ma'am, there seems to have been an error, so if I could get some information, I'd be happy to get you through this as quickly as I can." So she yells some 8-digit number at me, which I confirm with her and try and pull up a profile. There was nothing attached to the number, so I once again confirmed the number with her. "Yep, that's the number. What, are you daft or something?" "Ma'am, I'm just trying to bring up the profile so that I can assist you with any issue that you're having. I'll try with your name. Could you please just provide your first and last name?" Let's just say her name was Lena Smith. Your last name was uncommon, don't remember first name. I search the name and nothing comes up. Naturally, I say, "Is Smith your maiden name, Elena?" "I've never been married in my life," she replies. "Okay, you mentioned that there is an issue with your card not working before. Can I get the card number and we will bring up your profile using that?" She stopped. "Why do you want my card number? Are you trying to scam me?" "Ma'am, you called the bank. If the profile gets brought up, I have access to all the information anyway, and there are strict parameters in place to make sure that your card information is as secure as possible so that even if I did have the card number, no one in this bank could do anything with that information." I always said this to put people at ease with giving me information that they were a little uneasy about giving me. She says fine and provides me the number. I confirm it with her again as I type it in, but still nothing comes up. I ask her what may seem like a stupid question. "Ma'am, what color is the card?" "Blue and pink," she replies. "Okay, the symbol in the top left-hand corner is a purple shield, correct?" "Yes, of course, that's your company's symbol, you idiot." "No, ma'am, I'm sorry, you have called the wrong bank. If you call this number," providing her the correct bank's number just to be helpful, "they will be able to assist you." No, this is the bank. This is my bank," she replies quite angrily. "I'm sorry, Lisa, but the bank card you just described doesn't respond with this bank. We have never offered a blue and pink card, and our symbol is not a purple shield." I'm still being polite and just trying to inform her that she needs to call the other bank. The manager listens in at this point because he's interested into why I gave another bank's number. She goes off. "First of all, don't be facetious. Second of all, my name is Elena. You're such an idiot. Do you even know what facetious means?" I just reply, essentially sarcastic. "Now, Elisa, this time on purpose, on the back of the card there will be a number to call." "It's Elena, you little and yes." She's pissed. I already have manager approval to drop this lady into the hell that is the other bank's queue. "Well, Lisa, if you call the number, you'll be in touch with the correct people." "My name should be right in front of you. Stop getting it wrong. I would like to speak with your manager." Usually this bank has the policy that as soon as you ask for the manager, we need to escalate, get in touch with the manager, and while the manager responds, try and calm them down. The manager mutes my mic, says the best words that could ever be said. She's not a customer. She doesn't have any valid claim to speak to a manager, and frankly, I don't want to speak to her. You have plenty of grounds to hang up on her as she's being abusive, so I say have some fun with her and hang up. So I say the following. "I'm so sorry, Elisa, that I keep on getting wrong, but the fact that your information isn't on my screen means you got something wrong. Now, seeming as I can't identify you, I'm not actually allowed to put you through to a manager." Lies. All lies. "Now, Elisa, if you call the correct bank, maybe they could assist you with this problem. Now, is there anything else that I can help you with today, Karen? Sorry, Elisa." She hangs up. Story 8. I was at McDonald's decades ago. Old guy orders a number 2 and his wife orders a number 4. Get their food and walk to the table. He comes back pissed and says, "You switched our orders. You gave my wife my food and me hers." The guy behind the counter looks down, turns the tray around, and the old guy realized what happened and said, "Oh, okay." There was also this time a dude called in at 11:30 a.m. and complains about how he ordered a cheeseburger and specifically asked for the cheese to be removed, but wasn't removed. Pretty stupid, okay, but we can make a replacement. Asked him if he still had the burger. "Oh, I fed the cheese and ate it already. I want another one as compensation, but this time, don't forget to remove the cheese." Put it on loudspeaker so that a few friends can hear that and get a much-needed laugh since there weren't many calls coming in. Another common thing at my job were Einstein's calling a McDonald's hotline, asking for Pepsi and getting mad at us because, "Well, KFC has them, why don't you?" Yeah, thanks for the lunch conversation starter. Story 9. I work at Starbucks and had a lady yelling at me about her condiment bar was closed and you have to ask the barista for sugar or cream. When I informed her that it was store policy due to the pandemic, she shouted at me, "Don't blame the pandemic," and told me I was crazy and stormed out. For context, Frappuccino is a trademark word for Starbucks blended coffee drinks. When customers would ask for Frappuccinos, we would just put in the order as we called it and let them know the name for it at our store so they would recognize it when the barista called it out. Had a woman get so upset she was screaming all over the word Frappuccino. According to her, it was the traditional Italian word for a blended coffee drink. It's not. And we obviously thought she was stupid to tell her otherwise, and how dare we insult her like that. Tried to calm her down and just say we called them something else, but it would be a similar drink. Didn't even correct her about the rest. She continued to flip out and literally looked up and called her corporate customer service line in front of us, holding up the rest of the line to have them tell her the same thing. She then started screeching to demand to talk to the president of our company and started knocking stuff off her countertop. That's when we called security to ask her out of our store. Maybe Karen should have ordered her pumpkin spice latte instead. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you made it this far, I'm sure you'll also enjoy. What's the best way to deal with rude customers? Story 2 is the best way to destroy a Karen. See you on that video.